So it's that time again, Dave.
What time is it, Ted?
Time for spells.
Spell? Fold that, Ted. I don't want to spell anything.
No, Dave. Druid spells, tier 2.
Okay, let's do it. Let's go to tier 2 spells for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons for the Druid. Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdarchy Dave, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Maybe it's your first time visiting Ted's Basement. It's a place where we like to discuss news, views, and homebrews for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Sometimes we even talk about other role-playing games.
So if you don't want to miss a single video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and attune to that notification bell.
So we're going to pick our 5 go-to spells for Druid for tier 2, which means we're looking at Druids from 5th to 10th level, 3rd, 4th, and 5th level spells. And of course, we're going to do our one bonus one at the end, the Overlooked.
Indeed. So we're going to jump on our devices here and use D&D Beyond to grab the spells that we're going to talk about.
Yep. First up is our attack spell, and we're going to go with a 4th level spell. We're going to go with Blight. It is a 1 action to cast, a 30-foot range, verbal and somatic. Duration's instantaneous. It is a necromancy spell, and our save is going to be con. Necromantic energy washes over a creature of your choice that you can see within range, draining moisture and vitality from it. The target must make a Constitution saving throw. The target takes 8d8 necrotic damage on a failed save and half as much damage on a successful one. This spell has no effect on undead or constructs. If you target a plant creature or a magical plant, it makes the saving throw with disadvantage, and the spell deals maximum damage to it. If you target a non-magical plant that isn't a creature, such as a tree or a shrub, it doesn't make a saving throw. It simply withers and dies. At higher levels, when you cast this spell, using a spell slot at 5th level or higher, the damage increases by a die 8 for each slot you use above 4th.
Pretty righteous. I think as far as attack spells go, it's pretty potent. It's pretty powerful. It's the least thematic druid thing that I feel, because it just can destroy nature.
It feels a lot more necromantic.
I mean, it is school of necromancy, but when it comes to dishing out damage, I think as far as in that criteria, Blight has got it.
Yeah, it meets a couple criteria. One, it just does a lot of damage. You still take damage on a pass save. If it happens to be a plant-based creature, it hurts a lot, and they have disadvantage to save. You're attacking the Constitution, so it gives you an option for a druid. If you're fighting something that you think might not have a good con save, this is a great option.
And it's good for your casters.
Yeah, it's good against casters for sure.
All right, so next we're going to move on to our buff spell, and for this I'm looking at Guardian of Nature. 4th level, range self, duration, concentration, up to a minute. There's no attack or save. Casting time is a bonus action, which I love. Only requires a verbal. School is transmutation, and as you would guess, it is a buff effect. A nature spirit answers your call and transforms you into a powerful guardian. The transformation lasts until the spell ends. You choose one of the following forms to assume: Primal Beast or Great Tree. If you go with the Primal Beast, bestial fur covers your body, your facial features become feral, and you gain the following benefits. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet. You gain dark vision with a range of 120 feet. You make strength-based attack rolls with advantage. Your melee weapon attacks deal an extra 1d6 force damage on a hit. If you take the form of a great tree, your skin appears barky, leaves spout from your hair, and you gain the following benefits. You gain 10 temporary hit points. You make constitution saving throws with advantage. You make dexterity and wisdom-based attack rolls with advantage. While you are on the ground within 15 feet of you is difficult terrain for your enemies. It is just a great spell.
I feel like it definitely was designed to be like, are you a caster druid or are you a wild-shaping druid? Here are the options that work best. But both of them are actually pretty good, either way you decide to go.
And because it's concentration, like you said, you can cast the spell wild shape and, turn into a thing and then attack with it. So
turn into a more beastly beast.
A more beastly beast.
A furry crocodile.
A furry crocodile that's going to do force damage, additional force damage on a hit that you're making with advantage. So, yeah.
Yeah, so there's some good things there for sure. Speaking of buff spells, let's buff your game from Nerdarchy to your gaming table with out-of-the-box encounters for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. It was a super successful Kickstarter that we ran. The Pledge Manager is now open, and you can pledge late to it, or go get your goodies if you've already pledged to it. There will be a link in the description, and here's some of the reasons why you want to get in on the late pledge as opposed to waiting until it hits our stores.
If you go onto the Pledge Manager because you missed the Kickstarter, you're going to be able to get the Kickstarter pricing. After the Pledge Manager closes, those prices are going to go up, and you're going to have to pay retail for, all of the great stuff. But that's not all. There is stuff that is exclusive rewards to the Kickstarter. So once the Pledge Manager goes away, those things are going to be gone. You're not going to be able to get them anymore. As well as, in addition, you can be able to get your badges for Nerdarchy the Convention through the Pledge Manager. So you definitely want to go at least check it out.
Those are going to be pre-sale prices on those badges as well. And before long, we're going to be opening up our VIP and Super VIP badges. And those who pledge through the Kickstarter or the Pledge Manager, they're going to get access to those special VIP passes first. So now we're going to go with our defensive spell. And for that, we went with a Protection from Energy. It's a 3rd level spell, casting time 1 action, range touch, so it's good for you or your buddy. Verbal somatic, duration lasts a whole hour. It's a School of Abjuration, and it is a buff effect. For the duration, the willing creature you touch has resistance to 1 damage type of your choice: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. So you're going into Red Dragon's Den, you can cast this on yourself or one of your buddies, and you have resistance to that type of damage as you need.
It's nice, and it's, there's nothing, not a whole lot of drama, not a whole lot of flair to it, but when you're prepared for battle, it's going to make it so much easier for you. So next we're going to move into our iconic, and I don't think there's a more iconic spell for druids than Call Lightning. 3rd level, range of 120 feet with a 60-foot cylinder. Duration is concentration up to 10 minutes. It has a dex save. Casting time is an action. With verbal and somatic, school is conjuration, and the damage is, as you would guess, lightning. A storm cloud appears in the shape of a cylinder that is 10 feet tall with a 60-foot radius centered on a point that you can see within range directly above you. The spell fails if you can't see a point in the air where the storm cloud could appear. For example, if you're in a room that can't accommodate the cloud. When you cast the spell, choose a point you can see under the cloud. A bolt of lightning flashes down from the cloud to that point. Each creature within 5 feet of that point must make a dex saving throw. A creature takes 3d10 lightning damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. On each of your turns until the spell ends, you can use your action to call down lightning in this way again, targeting the same point or a different one. If you are outdoors in a stormy conditions when you cast the spell gives you control over the existing storm instead of creating a new one. Under such conditions, the spell damage increases by d10. At higher levels, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 4th or higher, the damage increases by 1d10 for each spell slot above 3rd.
Call Lightning is a great spell. I know most druids take it. I'm going to actually sneak in my own iconic spell here because I feel like Conjure Animals is another biggie, and it's a really tough choice between the two of them. But especially going back to earlier editions where the druid used to be able to sack out their spells to summon animals. I forget the name of the ability. I want to say it was like Summon Nature's Ally or something.
I want to say Summon Nature's Ally was the thing.
And yeah, so 3rd level spell, 1 action, 60-foot range, verbal somatic. And we all know the verbal component for this is, oh! All right, some of you may not be old enough to remember Tarzan. The duration is 1 hour concentration. It's a conjuration school, obviously. And it's a summoning effect. You summon face spirits that take the form of beasts and appear in an unoccupied space that you can see within range. Choose one of the following options for what appears. 1 beast of challenge rating 2 or lower, 2 beasts of challenge rating 1 or lower, 4 beasts of challenge rating half or lower, 8 beasts of challenge rating quarter or lower. That 8 beasts is a lot of wolves, by the way, attacking with advantage. Each beast is also considered fey, and it disappears when it drops to 0 hit points or when the spell ends. The summoned creatures are friendly to you and your companions. Roll initiative for the summoned creatures as a group, which has its own turn. They obey any verbal commands that you issue to them. No action required by you. If you don't issue any commands to them, they defend themselves from hostile creatures, but otherwise take no actions. The GM has the creature statistics. Sample creatures can be found below. which there's a bunch of. Also, we have at higher levels, when you cast a spell using certain higher level spell slots, you choose one of the summoning options above, and more creatures appear. Twice as many at 5th level slot, 3 times as many as a 7th level slot, and 4 times many as a 9th level slot. So I just had to sneak this one in on Ted because I feel like it was a really tough call as far as our iconic goes.
Next up, we have utility, and I believe you got that one.
Yeah, utility, we have Speak with Plants. It feels like a very druid hippie thing to do. 3rd level spell, casting time 1 action, range is self, verbal, somatic components, duration 10 minutes, lasts a little bit, school transmutation, and it's a communication effect. You imbue plants within 30 feet with you with a limited sentience and animation, giving them the ability to communicate with you and follow your simple commands. Animation, do they mime it to you? You can question plants about events in the spell's area within the past day, gaining information about creatures that have passed, weather, and other circumstances. You can also turn difficult terrain caused by the plant growth, such as thickets and undergrowth, into ordinary terrain and last for the duration. You can turn ordinary terrain where the plants are present into difficult terrain that lasts for the duration, causing vines and branches to hinder pursuers, for example. Plants might be able to perform other tasks on your behalf at the GM's discretion. The spell doesn't enable plants to uproot themselves and move about, but they can freely move branches, tendrils, and stalks. If plant creatures in the area, you can communicate with it as you share a common language, but gain no magical ability to influence it. This spell can cause the plants to created by the Entangle spell to release a restrained creature.
There's a lot of uses, for this. And as you're reading, my brain is whirling with, like you can literally, basically cover your tracks. You can move through difficult terrain as it's regular, or create difficult terrain for people trying to follow you. Oh my, so many uses. And that's beyond the whole asking questions about different things that have happened in the area. Now, yeah, you're talking to plants, so it is going to have limited intelligence, but you're a druid. You're one with these plants, so you already got a rapport. You've got a reputation. So like they're going to want to help you.
Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of uses for this. Like you said, if you're being pursued, it'll hinder your enemies. It can help you to get away. You can ask you to let go someone that's been entangled. So yes, it has a lot of uses, and it feels very thematic for a druid to do this stuff.
So next or last, we're going to go into our overlooked. And as we're, kind of prepping, I looked at the spell and I'm like, you know what? I don't think I've read this one before. And as I got into it, I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. So it completely fulfilled the criteria because none of us were really aware of it. And that is Wrath of Nature. 5th level, range 120 feet. Area is a 60-foot cube. Again, it's another one. It's concentration, but up to a minute. It's a deck save. Casting time is an action. Verbal somatic, evocation, and it does slashing. You call out to the spirits of nature to rouse them against your enemies. Choose a point you can see within range. The spirits cause trees, rocks, and grasses in a 60-foot cube centered on that point to become animated until the spell ends. Grasses and undergrowth. Any area of ground in that cube that is covered by grass or undergrowth is difficult terrain for your enemies. Trees. At the start of each of your turns, each of your enemies within 10 feet of any tree in the cube must make a dex saving throw or take 46 slashing damage from the whipping branches. Roots and vines. At the end of each of your turns, one creature of your choice that is on the ground in the cube must succeed on a strength saving throw or become restrained until the spell ends. A restrained creature can use its action to make a strength athletics check against your spell save DC, ending the effect on itself on a success. We're not done yet. Rocks. As a bonus action on your turn, you can cause loose rocks in the cube to launch at a creature you can see in the cube. Make a ranged spell attack against the target. On a hit, the target takes 3d8 non-magical bludgeoning damage, and it must succeed on a strength saving throw or fall prone. You've got 4 different effects. One that is just, flat out. One that just automatically happens at the start of your turn. One that happens at the end of your turn. And one that happens if, you use a bonus action on it. The amount of things that you can do on a grand scale here is just amazing. I love it. you've got to be in a great setting, that has forest and rocks and grass. But in the right situation, this is just going to destroy your enemies over the course of, an entire minute.
It is a huge area. It's aptly named Nature's Wrath. But if you were to combine this with plant growth, they're already dealing with difficult terrain, so half their movement. And then plant growth, it's an instantaneous spell, a range of 150 feet. So if you can cast this, you can reach them for sure. And, everything in a 100-foot radius covers the whole thing. It's going to cost 4 foot of movement to gain 1 foot. So, and we're already halving because of the difficult terrain.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to get pelted with rocks and beat with trees for a long time. And none of this stuff really affects you if you were to be in there. The plant growth might.
Right.
But at a certain level, too, I think even druids don't have to worry about that either. So they could even be in there whacking things, or they can just rain death from afar. Or, maybe they wild shape into a flying creature. If you're a Circle of the Moon, you cast that spell, you're concentrating, you hit plant growth, and then you wild shape into like a giant eagle or something, and then you're just swooping in and out at them. So there's definitely some cool things you could do with that. And it is a spell that I have not experimented with. I've played a few druids, but maybe I've played druids that are quite high enough level to really delve into that one. But that is just a brutal spell.
So, happy to bring it out to the forefront. It is aptly named. It is disastrous, and I'm certain that there are other combinations out there that would work well with this. So if you've got any ideas, you could drop those down in the comments below.
Before we head on out, I would invite you to join Nerdarchy, the adventuring party over on Patreon. What can I expect over there, Ted?
We're creating products for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons that both players and DMs alike can drop right into their game.
But that's not all. We do monthly giveaways, and the patrons are automatically entered.
We do weekly hangouts with our patrons and more.
So quest on down to the description, join the Nerdarchy Adventuring Party on Patreon, and until next time,
stay nerdy.